You called me here for this. The Batsignal is not a beeper.
Well, I wish I could say that my interest in you was purely professional.
You're trying to get under my cape, Doctor?
A girl can't live by psychoses alone.
It's the car, right? Chicks love the car.
Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
Talking about the tales where the shadows crawl. Chapter by chapter, we've covered it all. From the capes and cows to the darkest night. Every film, every fight, a fancy light. Turn the page, Gotham's glory awaits. Batman on film, where legends create. Oh, we ride through the Gotham skies. From the bat's rise to the villain's eyes. Turn the reels where the story is bright. I'm Batman on film, the legends alive. Break down the madness, scene by scene, where the city's pulse and our dreams convene. From the old to the new, the saga unfolds. A vigilante sail in the echoing cold. Step into Gotham where justice turns. Through words and whispers, the bat returns. Oh, we ride through the Gotham skies. From the bat's rise to the villain's eyes. Turn the reels where the story is bright. I'm Batman on film, the legend's alive. Pages turn as the saga unfolds. Join the journey in this timeless quest. Batman on film stands above the rest. Oh, we ride through the Gotham skies. From the bat's rise to the villain's eyes. Turn the reels where the story is bright. I'm Batman on film, the legend's alive.
Welcome to Batman on Film, chapter by chapter, a Batman on Film podcast, batman-on-film.com. This is the podcast here on BOF where we take the Batman movies and we break them down, overanalyze them, overthink them, chapter by chapter, scene by scene. This is chapter 4 of Batman Forever. The Batsignal is not a beeper. And joining me today is... BOF'er Patrick Johnson is back. It's been a while since you've been on a BOF podcast, Patrick.
So yeah, I feel like I'm back in the saddle again a little bit.
Well, you've been around Batman on Film. I see you on the Facebook group and whatnot, but yeah.
Yeah, it has been a while. It's always fun to get back on these, and I appreciate you having me on.
All right.
I've been doing okay.
Good. Let's get rolling here. And I am merely Bill Ramey, the founder of Batman on Film. All right, so chapter 4, the Batsignal is not a beeper. Before we get started, Patrick, I always ask whoever comes on to these chapter by chapters, whatever movie we're breaking down, what's your story? So what's your story with Batman Forever?
Well, my story starts actually in 1994 when I was 19, and I was working at a martial arts school, and we had a gentleman who was in his 40s, but he was like, I guess he was more in the know than we were at the time, and he told us, me and a friend of mine, that they were doing an open audition for the role of Robin, and asked us if we wanted to, he asked us if we wanted to do make a videotape and send it into Warner Brothers. So we did that. We did a bunch of martial arts stuff, and it's kind of, to look at it now, it's hilarious and kind of cringy. as if they were going to cast just on your martial arts ability and not your ability to
Yeah.
act. And then we went to the open audition in Houston, and we got to meet with the casting director. It was like a ton of people, right?
Yeah.
A lot of young guys, and this was during the time when Michael Keaton was still attached and
Hmm.
Robin Williams was still attached. In fact, the casting director announced that to us all. And so, she would meet you, shake your hand, and then just kind of go on to the next person. So that was that. But that was interesting. The first time I saw the question mark logo, the teaser poster, I got pretty excited. So
Hmm.
my level for this one was much higher. My hype level was much higher than Batman Returns, and I was happy
Okay.
to see. I was curious as to why Keaton stepped down, but I saw this twice in the theater, and I liked it a lot more than Batman Returns. I liked the soundtrack. I liked the look. It was a little bit lighter, but yeah, I had fun with it.
I always mention, so for those that are following along with us, it's probably repetitive, but I always mention again how big of a hit Batman Forever was that summer of
It was
1995.
That's huge.
Yeah, because it's
It was,
kind of lost on. It's kind of gotten lost, after the Dark Knight, at such Dark Knight trilogy, especially the Dark Knight. There was such the Batmania, and it was big. It's kind of gets lost, and then it gets lopped in with Batman and Robin, and so it's kind of like the lost blockbuster of
sure.
Batman of the Batman film series. So
It seemed to have a bigger hype or a bigger mini Batmania than Returns did, especially
you know
with the
what? I
music,
think
the
so.
music
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah. It absolutely. Now my level of anticipation was super high for Returns. And that's
Mm.
probably because my disappointment level was so bad once I saw it.
I was the same with you there because I only saw Returns once in the theater and I was disappointed. So I can concur.
Yeah. So, but I was really excited about this, and it also uh it's kind of lost because Keaton has become so revered, and I've said this before as well. So, but I'll throw it out there with you. Keaton's so revered today that there's people forget that Val Kilmer being cast kind of gave the franchise a little boost at the time because
I
Val
agree.
Kilmer was he was a big time actor
Oh yeah.
when yeah, at that period, Tombstone, The Doors,
Oh yeah.
Top Gun.
Top Gun, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a big deal. All right.
And
And
uh,
yeah, go ahead.
the only thing I was going to add is unlike Returns, I don't remember there being any big music push like they did with Prince in '89, and then they did with Seal and even U2
You too.
in
Yeah.
Forever. The only thing I remember was the Susie and the Banshees song for Returns, but I don't really
That's
remember that
yeah.
being that hyped.
Well, you're correct. And it's like you couldn't turn on MTV. And this is when MTV was MTV, you know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah.
And you turned it on and there was something about Batman Forever on.
Right.
They had the videos, the musical videos for Kiss by a Rose and the U2 song were on all the time. And they were like mini commercials for the movie.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So when we left off at chapter 3, which was titled Too Many Questions, this is when Bruce Wayne and Edward Nygma meet for the first time. As they're having their conversation, but Edward Nygma is pitching Bruce the box. He notices the bat signal in the background through the windows and starts to, get out of this conversation and get going. And he ends up going to his office. Says lock, which apparently locks the doors, and then sits down at his desk and says chair. And there's like a trap door opens, and he ends up being in some sort of pod, in this tube that takes him to the Bat Cave. But here's one thing. I never noticed it till I was watching this. The two statues, when he walks in the office, there's two statues, and they're similar to the ones you see of the male statues in Gotham City in Batman Forever. I swear to
Right.
God, they're 100% naked. They have no clothes on, and it's like the shadow just right before you get to the no area. It's go back and watch. I said, how did I miss this? I've seen this movie many times. I saw it on the big screen, but when you watch it with this high definition in 4K, it's kind of
Well,
you know
it's interesting you caught that considering if we take a look at who directed this and some of the shots, especially
yeah,
the
yeah,
getting
it goes
dressed
along with
shots,
that. Yeah,
it's there's somebody's having a little fun, you know,
yeah, I
pushing
think
this
so.
the subliminal.
And then also, I didn't. This is in chapter 2. I never noticed that Lady Gotham's face after the helicopter went through. It was only damaged on one side, on the
Really?
left. Yeah, I didn't know
Oh,
either. And who was it did that show with me? I think Javi Trio. He brought it up to me, and I went, I'd never noticed that. And sure
no,
enough, I went back and looked. It's on the left side is destroyed, just like Two Face. So
nothing gets past Javi.
it's a lot of things that as I do these chapter by chapters that I pick up, and I think I've seen it so many times. I've seen every inch and second of it, but you still find things going through this. All right.
Oh yeah.
So Bruce takes this pod through a tube. I would call it a bat pod, but the bat pod is already taken from the Dark Knight. It goes back to the Bat Cave. What was your? I think at the time I thought, yeah, that's pretty. That's cool. It's something Batman would have, but
I felt it was very like James Bond almost,
yeah,
especially when he
yeah,
pops out he's still wearing
yeah,
the suit and Alfred's there and it's like just like Bond and Q sort of side
yeah,
by side. I thought it was neat. I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
how he would have run that tube through the entire city, moving at
That's
300 miles an hour.
yeah. That's what I was going to bring up because I'm like, okay, I'm overthinking this now. You just kind of got to go with it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Batman would have that. Let it, it's Batman. Okay.
Sure.
Just go with it. What's also interesting is that the way the movie was originally supposed to be cut, this was going to be earlier in the movie, the whole Enigma scene and this scene, and that would go right into the Two-Face bank heist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
And
that's what he was initially going to suit
yeah.
up for.
So when he
Okay.
saw, yeah, when he saw the bat signal, yeah. So
Interesting.
this part of that the original, if you ever read the novelization and have looked into the Red Diary cut, that's all there.
I had
That's
a
part
friend
of it.
just recently give me a copy of the novelization. So I haven't
Okay.
read it yet, but I just got
Check it out because
got it.
it's kind of what the movie was originally intended. And not to say I don't like what, with the theatrical version, I
Sure.
would like very much to see. I call it the Red Diary cut instead of the Schumacher cut because Joel Schumacher was really proud of this movie. So let's don't forget that. It's not like,
Sure.
the studio screwed him over and he didn't get to put out the movie he wanted to put out. So, all right. So Batman opens up. It's like he's coming out of he's Dracula coming out of a freaking stand-up coffin with smoke,
Right.
and hands his jacket to Alfred, and Alfred says, "I saw the signal. I was ready." And they have the music, the Elliot Goldenthal music pumping, and next shot is Batman. The Batmobile drives through Gotham. Watching this, I thought, okay, what time is it? And where is there's no one out in Gotham,
Never.
at the time. Yeah.
You would think it would just be like just flooded with thugs and, you know, whatever, just
I wonder
criminals.
why
Yeah.
I wonder why they never I don't know how it was shot. I mean, it was different movie making process. This was the early days of CGI. There is some CGI in here, but we're talking 30 years ago. But I
Right.
don't know why there weren't. There are shots like at the beginning when Batman arrives at the bank heist. Well, obviously, I mean, they planned on people being around because that's where he was originally going in the Batmobile. But as he's driving to answer the bat signal call, I mean, there's like nobody in the streets. But I
I
don't
can
know. I'm
tell you,
just
I can tell you
yeah,
why. It's because extras cost money.
probably yeah.
Trying to keep
I
the
just
budget down. It's like we don't need them for a 5-second scene.
like today they could just CGI people. You know what I mean? It would be almost seamless. But
Which is a big bone of contention for actors that if they use their image, they'll scan people, and I've been scanned before, and they can
really,
put you they can put you anywhere in the movie, but they could also take you and put you in another movie and not pay you. So
oh
that's a
wow,
big a lot of people are fighting that right now in
I
Hollywood.
imagine. Yeah,
Yeah, because
you
it's like
should be.
it's your
Yeah,
likeness, right? You should get
sure.
compensated.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yep.
crazy. All right. Interesting. Um, Bat signal is shown in the sky, then it fades into the actual bat signal on the roof. Batman arrives, leaps over the edge of the rooftop onto the rooftop itself, and he's figuring it's Commissioner Gordon, and Commissioner Gordon. What do you think about Kilmer's Batman voice?
I liked it. I thought it
Yeah.
wasn't it was deeper but a little more subtle. It was
Hmm.
I don't know if it was as growly as Keaton's, but I thought it was solid, especially for this sort of lighter tone. It was just a hair lighter, but still, you know, what it needed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
I
had
like the
I
Keaton Batman
yeah.
in general.
Yeah. Let's signal. Okay. And then so this obviously Commissioner Gordon's not there. This is all a ruse by Chase Meridian, who we already know from the first time we met her that she has the hots for Batman. And she tells Batman he's at home, referring to Commissioner Gordon. I sent the signal. And she's on the rooftop of I assume this is Gotham PD,
Mhm.
and she's wearing a negligee. So okay. I mean, you know, pretty obvious, huh?
Yeah, I was surprised. I hadn't seen this in a while. How overly sexual her mannerisms and her dialogue and her
Oh yeah,
delivery were. I mean,
yeah,
she was basically trying to jump his bones right there.
yeah, yeah. I had mentioned I had now Nicole Kidman looks good today. Still,
Right, right.
I was taken aback just a little bit. Not her, how good look. She's a good looking woman. Let's just say it. But she really looked young in this
Yeah,
in
she
this
looks like a
movie.
baby. She really
Yeah,
does. She looks too
I
young.
yeah. I just watched her on something on Netflix. It was her and Lee Schreiber.
Hmm.
Some it was some movie about they were married and all kind of shenanigans at this. They were at this place for a wedding of their kid. It was I forget the name of it, but anyway, I watched her and you're thinking, oh yeah, she looks the same, and then you see her 30. I mean, she looks like a teenager almost. She looked really young.
Right.
And here's a trivia note. Rene Russo was originally cast as Chase Meridian
Oh, I
in
didn't.
Batman
Well,
Forever.
no, I have
Yeah,
heard you say that before. Yeah.
yeah, because Michael Keaton was going to be Batman, so she was his age ish. So when they cast Val Kilmer, who was a little younger than what's Val Kilmer about 8? See a whole decade younger than Michael Keaton.
He
He's about
looks
8.
like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they went with the younger Batman. They cast
But you
Nicole
know what's
Kidman.
interesting? I didn't think about until watching it again this time. Iceman was hooking up with Maverick's wife
Yeah,
in this movie.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Iceman gets one over on Maverick
I
twice.
think I think there was a bit about that back in the day.
Probably. There had to be.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Um, so Chase, she comes out and just right there and just flaunts it. Yeah, I sent a signal. Batman asks what's wrong, and she gives him some BS. Two was it Two Faces coin is his Achilles heel, and Batman's like, you brought me here to tell me this. I already,
Right.
I'm Batman. Damn it, I'd already, you think
Right.
I don't know that, and gives the classic line. The bat signal is not a beeper, Dr. Meridian, which really
Kinda-
dates the movie, right?
Absolutely. I had a beeper in 95.
I had a
I
beeper.
remember.
I didn't have a cell phone yet, but I had a beeper. That was
Some things
yeah,
don't age as others do, you know?
yeah. But that is I can imagine, like my son Jake, I don't think he even knows what a beeper is. If I said, "Hey, you know what a beeper is?" He'd probably say, "I don't know." You know,
How old is he?
he is 23.
Yeah, I'm sure he has no clue.
Yeah. And and I I just think about, you get those things in movies that, that was like that was something you would chuckle at, back then, because people had beepers and it was like, oh, you're making a I don't say pop culture reference, but just a life reference, of
Sure.
what people had
Right.
electronic wise then. And then like today, it's just, I can imagine like even like a kid watching it going, what's a beeper? So, so this is when Chase goes full on putting the moves on Batman to the point where he's trying to get under my cape, doctor, and leads to the line, "It's the car, right? Chicks love the car," which is always, chicks dig the car when people refer to it, when they talk about it.
Right.
But he actually says, "It's the car, right? Chicks love the car."
You're right. I in my head, it's some sort of Mandela
It's
effect where you put.
exactly. I was about to say Mandela effect, right? Hey, y'all, it's Bill Ramey, founder of Batman on Film. Let's take a quick pause in this podcast for these words from our sponsor.
Did
What?
Robin say something
Yeah.
similar when he drove the car around? When he says, "Come take a little ride in my love machine." He didn't say anything about the car, did he? Or is
He,
it? Or does
in
it?
Batman and Robin,
Is that
you
it?
know, is when it's Batman and Robin. I've said it again. I'm repeating myself. It's the same story beats as
Right.
Batman Forever. It's just goofier and sillier and campier. And so
Right.
they had the same suit up scene this time with Batman and Robin. And there's the Batmobile, and uh, Chris O'Donnell's Robin says, "It's the car, right? Chicks dig the car." I think he says chicks dig
So
the car.
he's
And
okay. That makes
I
sense.
think so. I need to go back and check. Some nerd will call me out if I'm wrong,
Nerd.
but I think that is what, that's probably where that comes from. But yeah, there's a little Mandela effect, because in my head, it was always chicks dig the car
Right.
until here I am watching this and I go, he says chicks love the car.
Right.
And then she goes on this thing about, what is it with the wrong kind of man? What did you think of the chicks dig the car line at the time you watched it, and then as you rewatch it 30 years later?
The one about the wrong type of guy
No,
or the wrong type of man.
it's the chicks love the car. It's the car, right?
Um, I thought it was a little levity, a little bit of humor to throw in there to give you a little something more. I was going to ask you about this entire scene. Did
Yeah.
you think the whole scene is kind of hokey? What I mean is like the way that they delivered it's very like over dramatic almost. Well, maybe it's from Chase Meridian's point of view.
I would say I don't think Val Kilmer ever breaks character, as like he's taken Batman serious, and the way he is acting the scene is serious. I think I would agree that, yeah, I think Chase is a little over, the sexed
Yes.
up thing is a
Yeah.
little over the top, you
Hmm.
know?
It almost feels like uh who's the lady that Mae West come up and see me sometime?
Yeah.
It's like it reminds me of old sexuality from like
Yeah.
the 40s, modernized a little bit, but it's the way it was delivered. And maybe it's
Yeah.
just from her point of view. But yeah, he's pretty consistent throughout the film.
It's
Um,
like you wouldn't get this in a Nolan film or the Batman,
agreed,
but
agreed.
it kind of fit this film in a
And the
way.
director. Yeah,
I think it was a little, I like to know how it was originally envisioned as they were writing. Was it
right.
going to be the negligee, but I don't know.
You had mentioned
yeah,
on the previous one of the previous episodes that it was like a 19. It feels like a 50s style
40s, early,
influenced.
early 50s
Right.
Batman. Yes,
And I
straight
can
up. That's yeah.
and they would a lot of times have little romance encounters, and it would be way more subtle today than that,
Yeah.
you know, is over the top as this was. So I mean it's fine. It is looking back now, it's just kind of, man, she's aggressive.
Yeah.
That's the
There
best way I
is
can put it.
yeah, absolutely. And then there's the what is like I said, what is right about the wrong kind of man? She has earrings, motorcycles, and then now she's just black rubber. I had a problem with that line then, and I still do now, because he's not supposed to be wearing black rubber, you know?
Right. Right. I
He's
had the
supposed to
same
be
thought,
he's supposed to be wearing armor. So
like
I
Kevlar or
don't
something.
yeah, I don't know why you're like you're pulling back the illusion, the veil, you're kind of
Right.
like, yeah, black rubber. And yeah, we know it's black rubber, but we're supposed to believe it's armor, some sort of armor. So
But
I
they're
didn't know if it,
also using that as an innuendo.
yes,
You know what I
yes,
mean?
yes,
They
absolutely.
got away with saying that word, which has a different meaning as
Yes,
well, you
yeah,
know? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Batman tells her, try fireman less to take off. There's that, which
There's some good humor in this. I mean, I will admit.
that is kind of funny, especially it's Batman saying that, very dry, very,
Hmm.
without very Batman-ish way. Um, he says, I don't fit in at a family picnic. And she says, I don't know. I'll bring the wine, you bring your scarred psyche. So
Right.
that's kind of, I don't know. Is it a reminder? Hey, I'm doing all of this, over the top sexuality, trying to, make the move on you. But, I am a psychiatrist, by the way, just don't forget. So you bring your scarred psyche, and
She's trying to
I can,
fix him, Bill. There's no
yeah,
fixing Batman. She wants
yeah.
to turn him into whatever her ideal is in her head. It's not going to
Apparently.
happen. It's not going to work. She
So,
also says
yeah,
she doesn't mind doing the extra work after he says the fireman less to take off. She's
yeah,
like, I don't
yeah,
mind the work.
yeah. She
She's
says,
in for a penny, in for a pound.
yeah, she says, you like strong women. I did my homework. Do I need
Mm,
skin tight vinyl and a whip? Which, of course, is a
right.
reference to Catwoman in Batman Returns, which is, officially Val Kilmer's Batman is the same Batman as Michael Keaton's. It's, kind of like they did the Bond thing. You just,
Sure.
Roger Moore, George, what was that guy that did one Bond
George
film? Lazenby.
Lazenby.
Yeah. Just like he's kind of like Val Kilmer's kind of like the George Lazenby of Batman compared to Bond, if that
Sure.
makes
Yeah.
any sense. So, but how did how do you how did you at the time, and then today, do you separate the Burton films from the Schumacher films for yourself? How did you feel about it then, now? Just
Well,
curious.
there's definitely a tonal shift, as we sort of
Sure.
mentioned earlier. This is a
Absolutely.
lighter take, and I think when you bring in a character like Robin, that happens, and especially with Jim Carrey being so
Yeah.
pretty much steals the show in this movie.
Yeah.
Um, I like the fact that it's loosely connected, that it feels like this is probably the same Batman. You got Gordon, you got Alfred, it's Gotham, you got Batman. I mean, pretty much looks the
Hmm.
same. The Panther suit is just a slightly different version of
Sure.
Keaton's. But it's still, you kind of separate them because of the talent that was involved in the first two versus the next two.
Yeah.
But it all still feels like it's connected in a fun way. I think it's
Yeah.
interesting. You get these two dynamics. Um, but it definitely worked for this film for the box
Hmm.
office, because I think
Hmm.
after you needed a lighter interpretation after what you got with Danny DeVito's Penguin, and Returns is a really somewhat depressing film in my opinion, you know.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I promise I'm not going to get on a Batman Returns tangent. There will be Batman Returns chapter by chapter. I'm not going to be the lead person on that one, but I will be on some of the episodes. So,
I guess that'll be Pete.
That is Pete. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is Pete. Like I said, this was Batman Forever was a soft reboot before there were reboots of any sort. Is that
right?
You know what I'm
makes
saying?
sense.
And I go by what the intention. I mean, to me, the Burton Schumacher films are it's the same Batman, no matter if it's Kilmer, Clooney, or Michael Keaton. But I think you can individually or even creatively, you can kind of like they've ignored Returns and Batman, or I'm sorry, they've kind of ignored Batman Forever and Batman and Robin with this recent Batman 89 stuff they've done, like in the comic books, and as well as there was the novel
Right.
that came out last fall. That's that they just kind of ignore all that. But to me, they're the same. So if you want to separate it, you know, you people listening, that's fine. But to be accurate, to be historically correct, they are supposed to be the same continuity.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah. And I wish they would. I would like to see, and there was talk about this at one time of a comic book version of what the next film would have been. We called it Batman Triumphant for years, and it was actually called Batman Unchained,
right.
the Batman 5. But I guess I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't know if they'll do that, but I would be all down for that if they wanted to go that route.
That would be great if they would release that. I mean, they released the Two-Face Batman 66 comic based on that original script. So why not?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to buy it. Of course we're going to buy it.
Yeah. Commissioner Gordon shows up in his pajamas, by the way.
Right.
In his pajamas. And what's going on? You know, and Batman says, false alarm. And Chase replies, you sure? Which she's kind of do you think Kilmer kind of played it? There's like he's a little interested in her, Batman.
Right.
Even though he's being Batman and being very stoic and Batmanish.
Right. He allowed her to, you know, put her hands on him and get real close. They were about to kiss.
Yeah.
And then they get interrupted. So he certainly has interest, but he's not going to be the instigator.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
And so, and that's when, you know, she says, yeah, you sure? You sure it's a false alarm?
Mm-hmm.
And Batman then proceeds to jump off the roof right into the Batmobile. Perfect fall, glide, or whatever you want to call it. And the roof closes and he says, women, and hits a little switch and the Batmobile flames off into the city of Gotham. Women. That was I chuckled at that line, I'm sure, at the time. It know, and it fits this film, it fits this scene, it fits this Batman, but I can never see Christian Bale's Batman doing that, like in, you know, with Catwoman or something, and Dark Knight Rises, like
no
women, you know, something like that. You know, it's just
you would get some flack from certain groups for it nowadays. And,
I didn't think about that, but yes.
Yeah. So it's a product of its time, but it also is very appropriate because, you know, I think it goes back to the troubles he's had in his love life up to this point, and is always an issue. Catwoman, what's her name? Vicky Vale. Although Vicky Vale was probably the most level-headed one out of the three so far.
Yeah.
And then this one, super aggressive.
Yeah, because he says, I haven't had much luck with women, you know.
Right.
And it tells Chase that. And so, yeah, because you've gone from, and this is also, as we finish up here, with Chase, you had to have, it's like there's a new love interest for every movie. There was never any continuity in that regard when it came to the female lead. You know, you had Vicky Vale. She's not in Returns, and there's just kind of a, you know, he's talking to Selena, Michelle Pfeiffer in Returns, and just briefly mentions her, you know, yeah, just didn't work out, blah blah blah.
Right.
And then he's got Michelle Pfeiffer, and then now there's Chase, and then you go to Batman and Robin, and there's Julie Madison, just a throwaway character, basically, you know, played by Elle McPherson. So it was just like they never had any. It never was important to, like, there was never a story thread or anything that continued. You know what I mean?
Right. It's
Between films.
very much like you have your Bond girls, you have your Batman girls.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there was never the cat and mouse that would cross over into another film. Batman always got the babe by the end of the movie.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I guess they thought that storyline was used up, so we got to give him something new for each movie.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to
Yeah.
be insensitive by that. I'm just saying it was a product of its time, you know.
It's 100% product of its time. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, sneeze.
It's all good.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
At home. Probably edit that out. All right.
That
all
time
right.
of year.
Yes. All right. So that's going to do it for this chapter. The bat signal's not a beeper. Any final thoughts or words about
I have a question. I
this
have a question.
scene? Or, okay. Questions, thoughts, anything.
Val Kilmer.
Yes.
Was he always going to be a one and done? You would be the guy to ask. I've never really got the story as to why he didn't come back for Batman and Robin.
Well, he was supposed to do Batman and Robin. I think there was a combination of that. Apparently, he was a piece of work on the set.
Okay.
Was very difficult, if you will.
I understand.
And so he and Schumacher didn't get along, and that was more because of Val Kilmer than it was Joel Schumacher. So I think Kilmer decided to not, he didn't want to do the next one, and Schumacher was already looking to replace him because, you know, there's a story about how he was on a flight, and I think George Clooney had From Dusk Till Dawn come out. And do you remember that ad, that shot? You would see it was kind of his profile, but kind of turned a little bit more toward the front. It was used in like the posters and the promotional stuff of that film. And he drew the Batman cowl on Clooney, and then ended up casting him for Batman and Robin. And if you remember how big of Clooney was, like the hottest TV actor at that time, he was just breaking into film.
Oh yeah, ER
at that point. So yeah, there's all kind of, that's they kind of talk around it. They had those special features that were included in some of the re-releases of these films, the documentaries that go along with each movie, and they kind of talk around the difficulties. But yeah, it's come out let's say they mutually decided to part ways. I think Kilmer, there was like, he was going to go do The Saint, and that was going to be his, you know, it's a conflict, and he was going to do this because they were going to try to turn it into a franchise. So, but basically, he didn't want to do it. Kilmer and Joel Schumacher didn't want him back. So there you go.
Interesting. Well, there goes another Roger Moore connection with The Saint, because Roger Moore was the original Saint on TV, and then he went and did that.
True. Yeah,
that
is true.
interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, it is interesting.
To quote Ryan, it's all connected.
It's all connected. All right. So with that, and again, any final thoughts on this scene, or just the movie up to this point? I would assume.
No, it's quick, gets the point across. It's got some humor. It's got some sexuality. It fits with what they're doing. I have no problem with it. You think they could have left this out?
No, I think it fits the movie, and it fits the times. It fits. I mean, you would see this kind of stuff in a lot of 90s films, you know?
Sure.
So it's just like, again, product of its time, just like the beeper line. All right.
Yep.
Well, that will do it for this episode. For Patrick, I am Bill. This is Batman on Film, chapter by chapter. Announcer Rachel will finish up here, and we will catch you next time.
You have been listening to Batman on Film, Chapter by Chapter, a BatmanOnFilm.com podcast revisiting the cinematic adventures of the Dark Knight, scene by scene, chapter by chapter. Follow Jett on Twitter at Batman on Film. For BOF news only, follow at the Batman on Film on Twitter. To become a BOF patron, go to patreon.com/Batman on Film. To advertise on BOF, visit advertisecast.com/Batman on Film. For Jett and Team BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original. Batman on Film. Established in 1998.
Batman flying night sky. Jett had a dream, now we're flying high. Since 98, it's been online. All the Bat fans gather and shine. Dark Knights and Gotham tales, rockets with stories and never fail. We love the Bat, right from the start. Batman on film, straight to our heart. Jett's on the mission, spreading the word. Every bat flick, every unheard, classic tales and brand new Batman movies bring shades of blue. From the Joker's laugh to the hero's call, Batman time, standing tall. We love the Bat, right from the start. Batman on film, straight to my heart. News interviews, a community here, that family full of cheer. Since 98, we feel the thrill, keeping the Bat vibes alive still. We love the Bat, right from the start. Batman on film, straight to our heart.